There are a lot of rumors floating around involving the Yankees, and we're going to try and talk about all of them next on a live edition of Locked On Yankees.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsulias. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. With me, as always, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian.
Stacey, what's going on? I feel like I'm in high school again with all the rumors that are floating around.
Yeah, no one wants to experience high school again. Let's not do that. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to Locked On Yankees on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified when our videos go live. So yeah, today's show is all about rumors. We're going to ask you what moves you think the Yankees should make. And we're going to talk about all these crazy rumors that people are making up about the Yankees.
So there's multiple players involved. They all seem to be around the same position. All seem to be around middle infielders, which we all know the Yankees are involved in. The weird part about all these rumors, these players, like any good high school rumor, there's no true source that can confirm all these rumors. No credible source that's confirmed all these rumors. It's really just rumor mill that's going around. But regardless, we're going to just...
You know what it is? You know what it is? It's someone on a blog writes something that they think could possibly happen. And then these aggregate sites that, now Sports Illustrated, no offense to Sports Illustrated, but that's what you've become, Sporting News, Newsday, run with these things and say, the Yankees are predicted to make this trade proposal, or the Yankees are predicted to be linked to this guy. And it's really just taking things from, and no offense to bloggers either. I was a blogger before I actually got paid to write. So I know what it's like to have to write things, but I think it's so funny that these institutions, Sports Illustrated and Sporting News, are now taking things from other people and rewriting them as articles and making them into rumors. And they're the things that you see at the top of Google every day. Because believe me, I look every day to see what ridiculous rumor is involving the Yankees.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. It does seem to be mostly people that write things, pull them out of thin air, hoping for it to happen, and then these sites run with it because it will be a great idea or creates clicks or whatever. But you know what? It's our job as a Yankees show to discuss Yankees rumors. So how about we do it?
Oh, yeah, I get that. I'm just saying to the audience who's here, by the way, there are 27 of you. Hi, it's Monday it's 4:00 on a Monday. Thank you for being here. Just to be, and I've been saying this, just to be careful with this stuff, because unless Jack Curry is talking about it, it's just something that's being passed around. But these players are guys who could help the Yankees, which is why they're in these rumors. So we do need to talk about them.
So two they're linked to. It's Luis Arraez and Gavin Lux. Both players that are around the same age. Arraez is a year older than Lux. He's 27. Lux is currently 26. They both have a year left. Lux, it's a year of arbitration. Arraez is just a 1-year contract essentially that he's on. 1 year left on his deal that he's on. And both at different parts of their game. It doesn't really feel like Luis Arraez and Gavin Lux are the same age, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Just because we remember Gavin Lux as being the top prospect in all of baseball and the guy that the Dodgers held on to for dear mercy forever and refused to put him in any trade. Came up, has been productive for the Dodgers, but I don't think has lived up to the hype that he was necessarily projected to have for them. Here's my question on the Gavin. We'll get to Gavin Lux first, only because I think Luis Arraez is more realistic. Anytime there's a trade rumor out there, Stacey, the thing that I always ask myself is, how does it benefit the team that's moving the better player to make the deal? And I don't know in any world right now, this isn't just me saying this is through all gambling acts that are out there that, post who their favorite is to the American League. The Yankees are overwhelmingly the favorite to win the American League next year. And the Dodgers like to think of themselves as a World Series contender for next year also. How would it behoove the Dodgers to make a move and trade Gavin Lux to the Yankees?
Right.
Why would they help their competition out directly? It makes no sense at all. Unless the Yankees are willing to give up a piece that helps the Dodgers out, which why would the Yankees do that and make their team worse? So I don't understand why they'd do that. But I love Gavin Lux in an ideal world. Yeah, I think a change of scenery could help a player like that. Not that he's been bad for the Dodgers, but I don't think he's been the player that they projected him to become. So I don't think it would be a terrible idea for the Yankees to explore that. I just don't know why the Dodgers would explore or even entertain trading him to the Yankees, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because you have to think about what you would give them back to where you don't make your team worse, because you don't want to make your team worse. So then you got to look at the minor leagues and see if you could package people. But who are you packaging for Gavin Lux? And it's just, like you said, why on earth would the Dodgers trade Gavin Lux to the Yankees? That just seems like that would be like the Dodgers trading him to the Mets. Also, like, why?
The two top candidates that seem to be out there for the Yankees to move that teams are definitely interested in are Will Warren, who is still I would consider still a minor leaguer, and I mean he's made his major league debut, but he's a minor leaguer, and Clark Schmidt. And Clark Schmidt, I think, has a lot of teams that are around him just because of the start to his career he's had, the low ERA. People are very interested in him. The Dodgers don't have a need for pitching. Now, they definitely have a need to improve their farm system, but their need for pitching is non-existent. They've completely loaded up on their rotation. They went out there and made another signing this offseason and picking up Blake Snell. I don't think there's a reason for them to go out there and get a starting pitcher. And also, again, why would the Yankees give Clark Schmidt to the Dodgers?
No.
For 1 year of Gavin Lux, I don't think it makes a lot of sense for them. Again, it's intriguing, and I think it's a name the Yankees definitely have probably kicked the tires on. But again, you got to look at motivation from both sides when it comes to these trade rumors. If you really want to dive deep into it, because the Yankees do a lot more due diligence than we do as fans, right? So these blogs that are out there are great and everything, but the Yankees, there's a lot of rumors that go out there. There's a lot of players the Yankees key in on and ask about that you don't ever hear about, just because, stuff never makes the news. Like, John Heyman told us last week how the Mets were nearly done with Manny Ramirez on a deal and it never got done. There's plenty of the stuff that happens that the Yankees key in on. So there's a chance the Yankees have called the Dodgers on Gavin Lux, and the Dodgers probably said, to be honest with you, you got to give us a lot to get your hands on Gavin Lux, and it's probably not worth it for that price. So I don't think there's much of a chance of this one happening, but it's an interesting name.
Yeah, I just was amused reading the because I Googled it and I saw which article was talking about the Yankees being linked to Gavin Lux, and the guy kept mentioning sources, but didn't mention like where the source was from. He just said sources. And I was like, well, anyone could say that in an article. You could just say a source told me. And that's like a big joke. That was a big joke when Twitter was really like at its peak, where people would joke, sources say, and write the most ridiculous thing ever, because people would always do that. And I just found that amusing. But
sources say the Yankees are in on XYZ.
Yeah.
Now a player the Yankees I definitely think have called on, and there as a legitimate source linked to, is Luis Arraez from the Padres. Now Jeff Passan has reported that the Yankees have called on him, have taken the tires on Luis Arraez. I think it would take a large package to get Arraez done, and he's only on a 1 year deal too. Now it's a 1 year deal at $13.7 million, which is very affordable for the kind of player that he is. This is the move that I'm all over. Now, full discretion, Stacey, I would rather Alex Bregman to this point still, but from all the accounts that are out there and all the rumors that are out there, again, the Yankees could still wind up with Bregman, who knows? It doesn't seem likely at this point. Now, again, that's all put with a grain of salt, because never seemed likely the Yankees were getting Mark Teixeira, and then he played, the next couple of years with the Yankees. So you don't know. The Luis Arraez one is interesting, though. Not a lot of money owed to him. 1 year left on the deal. I don't think it's that big of a risk going after a player like this, just because of the track record at this point. Mm-hmm. He's a year older than Gavin Lux. He's a second baseman. Not a tremendous fielder, but not a bad fielder either. His career batting average, Stacey, is .323, though. And that is an average that in today's game is unheard of. Now, doesn't steal bases, doesn't have a power element to his game, really, doesn't have a huge WAR. But when you look at his overall numbers, Stacey, he had 200 hits last year. That's unheard of in today's game. The year before, 203 hits, which, again, unheard of. Let's go over, I just want to give you his career batting averages throughout every year of his career. Now, he came up in 2019 with the Twins. He was 22 years old. These are his averages every year from his rookie year. 334, 321, 294, 316, 354, 314. He consistently hits over, he's never hit below 295 or 294. That's unheard of in today's game. And with what players hit now, it's unheard of. Now, again, you're not going to get a lot of RBIs. You're not going to get a lot of home runs out of the guy. That's fine, though, in my opinion. I'll cite this before I get your opinion on it. Over the last few years, the best Yankee, and offense has been a struggling point for the Yankees for sure. The best the Yankees offense has looked over the last few years is when they have had a very high on base or batting average guy at the top of their order, a la DJ LeMahieu. I don't think Arraez is a player that you necessarily avoid giving up big names out of your farm system. If there's a guy available that you give up the big names for, I think Arraez might be that guy.
We'll get to my opinion in the next segment because we have to. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notifications so you know when our videos go up. You can also join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. The link is in the description. You'll get texts from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to trades, signings, all that jazz. We send out lineups during the season, roster moves, any call-ups that happen, breaking news, so you don't have to check social media. There's a 14-day free trial. So coming up next, my opinion about Luis Arraez and more rumors surrounding the Yankees.
From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets. Guaranteed, that's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need from live bets to same-game parlays and so much more. Visit the website and share betting lines around your team or league. Now, guys, I know that you're aware of all the NFL playoff news going on. The matchups are out, the lines are out, but also the college football playoffs are going on as well in the middle of the week. It's really peak time for football season. You can get to FanDuel right now and look at the big matchups that are coming ahead. Who's going to win the national championship? I like Ohio State at even money. Right now, you can get it on FanDuel.com. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel. It's an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thanks again for making Locked On Yankees your first listen. Remember that every Friday is Fan Mail Friday. You can leave questions underneath our videos during the week, or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. That gets you top priority on Fan Mail Friday. That link's in our description. So, Stacey, as we know, I'm popular for rambling and can talk a lot. I do it for a living, so that's great. I want to get your opinion. We couldn't get to it in the last segment on the Luis Arraez news. Now, I guess if I did do a benefit, I did provide all the information on Luis Arraez, like stats. So let's hear what you think on the Yankees' possibility of acquiring him.
I'm fine with him offensively, but he's not that great defensively, and he's not that great at base running either. He's fine, but he gets on base, but he doesn't really do a lot when he's on base. And I just think to myself, well, wow, they had someone who was the same way, Gleyber Torres, and they let him go. Gleyber obviously is getting paid more for the 1 year, the $15 million, where the Yankees would pay, what was it, 13.7? That's what's remaining on his thing. So I just think it's funny that it's yes, he hits a lot and he gets on base, but Gleyber could do that when he was actually not in his head and was able to. It just seems funny to me that it's basically, and I know people are going to be like, his batting average is way higher than Gleyber. I know that, but other things, when you consider the other things, they're similar, and it's just funny to me that they're just going to replace him with a similar player.
I think Gleyber at his best, he's about a 290 hitter at his absolute best when he's peaking, which is great for the player especially for the price the Tigers are now paying for him. I would say this: base running not great. There is some credence to the higher batting average. I mean, Luis Arraez, again, his career batting average is in the 320s. Sure. On a great year, he's hitting 340. So, yeah, he's going to give you a lot more on base quality. I think when DJ LeMahieu was at his peak at the top of the Yankee order, that's when the Yankees offense was at its best, especially to get guys in front of Judge on base, now Bellinger. I think that does help a lot. The base running is a concern because if you acquire Arraez, he's going to be playing at the top of your lineup for sure. Yep. There's no doubt about that. So the struggling base running does concern me a little bit. Here's my question to you, though. what's the package you're okay with giving up for him? Because there's a lot out there and we'll get to the next player that I think the package that is rumored out there is absurd that they're asking for. But are you okay with parting with Will Warren? Are you okay with parting with Clark Schmidt, Spencer Jones? What is the player to you that, for the players that are remaining, are untouchable?
I would not trade Clark Schmidt.
I'd
But
agree
any
with
of the
you.
minor league guys, sure, bye.
I don't
You
think we've
can't
seen
hang on
enough.
to all these guys, right? Like, you can't.
I don't think
So,
we've seen enough from Will Warren, and
no.
quite frankly, I've said this for a while, and I'm going to continue to die on this hill. I haven't. There's not a position for Spencer Jones to play at the major league level, and I know
Not right
he's
now.
2 or
Right,
3
not
years
right
away,
now.
but there's
Yeah.
not a spot for him to play. So, and the Yankees are in win now mode right now, Stacey. So if Spencer Jones' future is in 2 or 3 years to the Yankees, and I think that's being a little generous, to be honest with you, because he struggled last year in the minor leagues. If Spencer Jones' window is 2 or 3 years for his ETA at the major leagues, Aaron Judge at that point is 35 years old. The team, Garrett Cole is in his late 30s at that point. They're not in their World Series window anymore necessarily. Now, they might be still trying to go for one, but they're not in their window as much. They're in their window right now. If you move a Spencer Jones, it might sting. But if Luis Arraez is holding a championship trophy in 10 months, then it was worth it. So I don't think you shy away from. I don't think there's a prospect in the Yankees system, unless you consider Jason Dominguez a prospect. I don't think there's a prospect in their system right now that they should be afraid of again, for the right player, that they should be afraid of trading.
I would agree with that. And I do consider Will Warren is still a minor leaguer. He just was thrust up into the majors because of things that happened with the big ball club. And I felt like it was unfair to him, because he was having issues in the minors too. So that kind of screwed with him. And I feel bad for Will Warren. And I think that he just needs some work again down in AAA.
Completely agree with you. I think he just needs more minor league time now. This is a player I really want to get your opinion on. And full disclosure, I think I know your opinion on this topic already, but it still needs to be brought up. The Yankees, it feels like every offseason, first of all, are linked to Carlos Correa. It's constant. It's always that he's always a player that they're linked to.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys need a reminder, the Yankees, the Twins signed Correa to a 6-year deal for $200 million, 2 off seasons ago. He's 2 years into that deal. His luxury tax hit is $33 million a year with 4 years left on it. And there are a million, what do you call them, escalators that can get his deal to 2032. If he plays an X amount of games, has a certain amount of plate appearances, a whole thing, basically if he stays healthy. Stacey, he's 29 years old, which isn't that old for Carlos Correa, especially the way you think of it. He's coming off a 310 season, but he only played in 86 games.
Mm.
He has a huge injury history. There is the lower body, ankle, foot problem that is, a ticking time bomb, they kind of say. The thing I want to get out of you before we even go into acquiring Carlos Correa is the rumored package that is apparently being asked for Carlos Correa, or the trade package that apparently is going to be given up. Oswaldo Cabrera, Clark Schmidt, and Will Warren. Your opinions?
No. You had mentioned the ankle thing. That was the first thing that popped into my head because, like you said, his lower body issues and especially that ankle injury, it feels like a ticking time bomb. And that if the Yankees did trade for Carlos Correa, his ankle would, I'll knock on wood that it doesn't happen, snap like 3 plays into the into the season.
Oh.
So I think the time to get Correa passed.
Yes.
It already happened. They should have gotten him a few years ago when they were hanging on to Volpe and Peraza. Nothing against Volpe, nothing against Peraza, but could you imagine the team with Carlos Correa a couple of seasons ago? Maybe they don't miss the playoffs. I don't know.
He's been in the league for so long that it doesn't feel like he's 29. I thought I honestly, when I first heard the name, I thought he was like in his early 30s. So it is crazy to see that he's that young. The luxury tax number, which again, they're very conscious of, the luxury tax number is a little high for me. At $33 million a year, I don't think he's worth that salary.
Mm-mm.
A guy who has struggled to stay on the field, is a good fielder, not a great fielder. He's not a 310 hitter normally. I mean, he hit 310 last year, but that's without playing in a majority of the games last year.
Right.
I don't think it's the juice to me is not worth the squeeze here. I wouldn't be too in on it. It's a player that if you can acquire him and Minnesota eats a lot of the money, I'd explore a little more. But Minnesota ain't eating a lot of the money. They're making this trade to get rid of the money. So I don't think there's much credence to this, but he is a player the Yankees are always linked to.
Always. Yeah, it's kind of
crazy.
funny. Yeah. I mean, that offseason with him where he was going here, then he was going there, and then he ended up with the Twins was one of the strangest off seasons for a player that I've ever seen in my entire history of watching sports. In the last 45 years that I can remember watching sports, I don't remember a guy almost going here and then being like, about to be announced there, but then it gets I don't know. I don't like that. I don't think there's a chance of it either, but no, I wouldn't do it.
Good player, not a great player, I'd say. The Mets deal that they offered him, just a reminder to all of you, because I think it's crazy to remember to think about this.
Yeah.
12 years, $315 million.
Wow.
Now, it didn't get signed because the medicals went through and they realized the ankle problem and they didn't want to do it. But he went from a 12-year deal down to a 6-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy what he lost in that time. Still a really good player, but not the superstar that I think everyone kind of like saw him becoming.
Yeah.
I wouldn't explore it from the Yankees. To me, at this point, the money is too high. Next segment, I think we should discuss, though, what the guy is that you want the most on this team out of the 4 remaining infielders.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We can do that next. You have to remind me all 4 because I don't. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
We'll talk about it during the next segment. Plus, we'll be chatting with you guys to ask you what moves you guys would like to see the Yankees make. Because the Yankees aren't done. They have to make at least one more move. At least one more before the offseason's over. So we'll talk about that in segment 3. There we go. I love going to live events. And one of my favorite live events that I ever went to, and this was a while ago, I saw The Boy from Oz with Hugh Jackman. And I sat in the front row and I made him laugh and it made my life. And if you want to go to the theater and see a show, see comedy, if you want to see a sporting event or see a concert, Game Time. Go to Game Time. They've made it easier for you to get tickets for your favorite events with their new feature, Game Time Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And if you look through the app with Game Time Picks, you can find those amazing deals. You can also see the view from your seat before you're buying, so you know exactly where you're going to be. The Super Deal was particularly impressive because it offers great seats at unbeatable prices. The app's all-in pricing shows you the total cost up front, so you're not surprised at checkout. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. There we go. We're back. So tell me, who's still available out there? Because why am I forgetting someone?
Well, Gavin Lux, Alex Bregman, Luis Arraez, and Carlos Correa, the guys that we've really broken down. I feel like those are the 4 options that are available for the Yankees. Yeah. I feel like those are the options that are fully available for the Yankees that are left. They're all the most reasonable ones. They're all the most players that allow you to be flexible with where you move Jazz Chisholm to.
Right.
I want to know from you, what's the player that you think A, is most likely, but B is the one that you want most? Is it the same guy or is it different?
Ooh. God, out of all of them, I can't believe I'm saying this. Bregman. That pains me to say that. I don't know. I don't think the Dodgers would get rid of Lux. Correa's ankle scares me. Arraez, yes, his average is great. He's still relatively young. But again, we discussed the base running and the defense, and we already have a DH, so we can't have him as a DH if we want to put someone else. You know what I mean? Collective team, whatever. But out of those 4, Bregman, I can't believe I'm saying that, but yeah.
My fear with Alex Bregman is the fact that his negotiations have gone this far into the offseason, meaning that I think the price tag is getting a little too high for the Yankees. There's a number out there. I don't know what it is, and no one knows what it is because, again, we discussed it earlier in the episode. You can view all of the fake reports out there of who the Yankees could be in on and stuff. I don't know what the number is. No one knows what the number is, but the Yankees are willing to stop at spending. But there is a number, and they're kind of approaching it pretty quickly. So I don't know what that number is. It does feel like the longer these negotiations go, the higher the number becomes for Alex Bregman.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if the Yankees are going to play in that, sandbox. Now, they might. They might feel like he's the piece that puts them over the top. I kind of feel like he is that piece too. But for Luis Arraez is a much cheaper option, and for 1 year, it's a different player. But for 1 year, I don't think it's the worst signing in the world. Again, long term, I'd be avoiding it. But right now, Alex, here's my question to you though: if you see the Yankees sign Alex Bregman to the exact same deal that Carlos Correa is on with the Minnesota Twins, which is 6 years, $200 million, it's about $33 million a year on the luxury tax. You okay with that?
It's too much.
Right? So that's
he's past 30, isn't he?
But that's the deal that I feel like Alex Bregman's going to wind up signing with some.
You don't think it would go down the more he waits? No?
I think the longer this goes, because the way the rumor mill's been out there are multiple teams in on Bregman. Like, I feel like this is different than the Alonso thing.
Right, because Tigers, you've heard Mets, you've heard Yankees. Have we heard anyone beyond those three?
The Angels are apparently sniffing, because why would they ever go after a pitcher? It's just all about offensive pieces for them. But the Angels are another. All of those teams, and I've heard the Cubs lurking too. All of those teams have something in common, Stacey. They're all willing to spend money. Yeah. They are all money spending teams, which means that if they're all, I think a Bregman type player is one that waits and says, "No, keep in, go ahead. I got time. I don't care where I'm going."
Yeah.
In my heart, it feels like he winds up back with Detroit, but not back with Detroit. With Detroit, back with AJ Hinch. I feel like
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a place where they've stocked up on a lot of infielders this offseason. I think it's intriguing for them to go forward with Gleyber at second. I can't believe Javi Baez is still in the league, but Javi Baez at short, Bregman at third. Not a terrible infield going into the year. It's a player to be excited about if you're Detroit, especially for what they're building towards. And it feels like that price tag. I think the Yankees were in on Bregman the same way they were in on Machado. They were in on that player for the price that they wanted him at. Anything else, they weren't going to play in that sandbox. So I don't know if the Yankees are still going to be in on Bregman at this point. It doesn't feel like it. But he's a player that I'm interested in. I think most realistically, they wind up with Arraez. And I don't think it's going to be a cheap price. But I think if you look back on, and they can take their time on this, you might not see the Arraez traded until spring training. And maybe once guys start reporting for workouts and they realize DJ LeMahieu is not going to be able to make this roster, that might be what they move. And it might cost a little more, but what's the package I'm assuming you're okay with is any and everything but Clark Schmidt for Arraez? So if it winds up being Will Warren.
And no Jason Dominguez either.
Well, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
But if it winds up being Will Warren and another AA prospect, you're okay with that for Arraez?
Yeah.
I think I am too. That 1 year. And I think, again, you got to cite too, they were their best over the last few years when LeMahieu was at the top of that order hitting, 310, 315. That's important to cite that because they didn't have Juan Soto for those years either. And Aaron Judge still put up his numbers and the offense was still really good. Arraez is in his prime. I don't think it's a terrible move.
Here's a question. Arraez is still young, relatively speaking. Is there a way to teach him to be better on the bases? Can someone in the Yankees coaching staff help him with that?
This is a common question that people
I wonder. Yeah.
I think there is. I don't think it's listen, like at this point in his career, you're not going to make him faster. You're not going to he's not going to be a faster runner. He's not going to be more aware and stuff. But you can teach him how to be smarter on the base paths. Mm-hmm. You can teach him how to just minimize mistakes.
What you didn't do with Gleyber, do with
Exactly. There are certain things like I don't think you can necessarily teach players when it comes to baseball, right? You can't make someone a better power hitter at a certain point in their career. They are what they are.
Unless you inject them with steroids. Wink, wink.
True, but
just kidding.
You can't make them. You can't make someone a faster runner. You can't make a pitcher throw harder. It's not realistic. What you can do is improve guys' spin rates. What you can do is make them a better base runner mentally, which is really important. Yeah. Arraez doesn't succeed at that part, and doesn't succeed at the fielding part. But listen, the Yankees got to the World Series last year with a pretty below average runner at second base and a pretty below average fielder at second base, and it got them to the World Series. So they can survive with that. And if you're willing to make a deal, and I do think Arraez is an improvement over Gleyber Torres just because of the average and the on base that he'll have, as opposed to what Gleyber Torres was. I don't think it's the worst move in the world. It depends on the package that the return is for. I think if it's anything below the major league level, I'm okay with it. Yankees and Padres obviously have a really good relationship over the last few years when it comes to making trades too. I think that's important to note also. Also for 1 year. I do think, I think they'd like Bregman preferably at their price. But I also think at 1 year and $13.7 million, that's a really intriguing price tag for Luis Arraez. I don't think you can. That's a kind of deal that I think you jump towards, especially because you're going after it this year, the next year. I think their window is probably like 3 years right now.
Right. So let's see what our viewers are saying about all of this. Most of them seem to be, let's see. I just saw one. Where'd it go? Yeah, we said this earlier in the show. Arraez any better than Gleyber at second base? For all that, she should have just signed Gleyber for 1 more year.
Agreed. My thing on Gleyber, though, is, I think, Stacey, the Yankees knew they were done with Gleyber.
Oh, yeah, they knew it. Yeah. They knew it before the playoffs started. Like,
they had made their decision on that front already. So I know you could sit here and easily say, oh, well, they should have just brought Gleyber back for that price. They knew they weren't bringing Gleyber back.
No, we know that they weren't going to bring him back. But when you look at what they're going to replace him with, it's like, well,
I do think Arraez is a better player than Gleyber Torres. Like,
sure.
It shouldn't be noted. His average is significantly higher than Gleyber Torres and his on base.
Right, but the Yankees, the last thing the Yankees need is someone in the infield who's not good at defense.
They did improve their defense though around the rest of the infield though. I will say
True.
that. Having Jazz for a full year at second would be at third would be important. That's where he'd play if they get Arraez. And I think Goldschmidt is a better fielder right now than what Rizzo is. So I do think they've improved a little bit when it comes to that. I don't think it's a crazy. Luis Arraez just doesn't have the same feeling that he had a few years ago around the league.
Yeah. Yes, probably. FG says the Yankees should have signed Seager.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would have. That was a move that bothered me immensely. I don't know if Seager was ever coming here because he's not really a New York guy.
Right.
But that's one that I would have been after. I want to bring up this too from Kevy 2 times. Jonathan India isn't a terrible name to be after either. Now, numbers aren't quite what you want them to be. But again, top tier prospect in all of baseball when he was coming up. Hasn't really gotten to the potential he needs to get to with the Reds, but that could be a player too that I don't think that they're necessarily shopping in the bargain bin right now, but I think it's going to be a player that you look at and you go, wow, solid numbers, could be a productive player, but he's not a marquee name. I think there's a good chance I think they're out of the marquee name shopping cart at this point.
Oh, this is interesting. So that's why they want Lux traded. Israel says Dodger fans want Lux to be traded so Mookie can be switched to second base.
I don't know. They've tried him out at shortstop last year. They had him at second base for a few games here and there. It's amazing how Mookie Betts can play anywhere in the field. It really is incredible how he's a plus defender anywhere they put him. But I don't think there's an intention to put him anywhere necessarily. So I think there's a motivation to trade Lux just because they can still get a lot for him, and it hasn't necessarily worked out in LA. Not that he's been a bad player. He just hasn't lived up to the potential that he could be at. But I don't think they're trying to move Lux to do anything else with their roster, to put Mookie somewhere else or to fix something else going on. I think they're trying to move Lux because rather trade him now than let him walk as a free agent next year. That's what good teams do. They trade guys before they just let them walk for free.
That makes sense. Aaron L. says, I don't hate Gavin Lux. I don't hate Luis Arraez, but I do hate the dumb rumor mill churning with unfounded garbage.
Yeah, I mean, this is our job. This is baseball in January. This is what happens.
This is the slowest period of the off season, which is why we're only 3 days a week. Because if you could you imagine us trying to come up with stuff to talk about 5 days a week when there's nothing out there but these unfounded rumors? It's just interesting to talk about the players and what they could possibly bring to the team if they did come here, even though you kind of know in the back of your head it's not happening, but it's still fun to do, right?
Yep. This is lunchroom cafeteria talk,
Yeah.
right? Oh, what if they get this guy? What if they get this guy? We don't know what's going to happen at this point. This
Right.
point in the offseason, it's kind of hard to predict what's going to happen.
I just saw something here. Oh, Jared Williams, hello. Happy New Year. Haven't seen you in a while because, our videos don't premiere late at night anymore, so I'm not hanging out with everyone in the chat. Jared says, Stacey and Brian, I just had 11 inches of snow today.
Well, Jared, I mean, I don't know where you live, but I'm sorry. Apparently, Dallas is going to get hit tomorrow or by the end of the week. And Stacey, I don't know if you know this about Texas, but when it snows there, the state shuts down.
Well, yeah, because they don't expect that weather. They don't have the infrastructure for it. They don't have plows and stuff like that. Like Atlanta's like that too. And I always feel like us Northerners are always laughing at Southern cities when they're, grinding to a halt in a snowstorm. But what happened to New York City a few years ago when that freak snowstorm happened? It was the same thing, because if you're not prepared for something to happen, things are going to shut down.
I didn't get much today. I got maybe an inch, if that. So it really wasn't that bad.
Same thing here, because I'm up above New York City. So we got the least amount of snow out of everyone in the area. And maybe like a coating, but enough for the plow to come down and have to clear the street. But yeah, really nothing. But most of the country, if you're in those areas with ice and stuff, stay in your house. Don't go outside.
The Midwest apparently is getting killed. Like Kansas City, the Chiefs weren't able to land back in Kansas City. Texas is getting killed. So yeah, be safe, because especially in that area, when people aren't prepared for it, it becomes a lot worse.
Yeah, I saw, before we go, I saw a TikTok of a guy where his Ring camera recorded him walking out of his house, and he was about to slip off his porch. He grabbed the railing and he turned right back around and went in the house. He's like, I'm not going out. And he went right back in because there was ice all over the place. Anything else? I'm just checking because, that would be nice. Kevy 2 times. I see Jazz having a power type season like Granderson or Cameron Maben. I feel like second year Jazz, or, first full year Jazz, and being more comfortable, I think he'll probably perform better, because we saw glimpses of what he could do. I think something got to him and he just, I don't know what happened there, but I think that he'll be a little more relaxed. He really likes being a Yankee. You can tell he has a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Jazz does in 2025.
Just keep in mind, he isn't necessarily a power hitter. Never really has been. He had some great power numbers when he first came over to the Yankees, but he's not known as a power hitter. So I don't think expecting 30 home runs out of Jazz Chisholm next year is a much of a realistic expectation.
No, 15 would be nice.
if he gives you 15 to 18 and gives you 60 RBIs, I think you really take that.
Yeah, I think so too. All right. So thank you guys for joining us. 82 people on a Monday at 4:38 p.m.
Pretty good.
That's pretty amazing. So thank you guys for joining us for this live edition of Locked On Yankees. We appreciate you as always. For your second listen, you can find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings you a daily blend of humor and baseball, keeping you updated on every rumor and story throughout the offseason. You can find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So that'll do it for this live edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you later in the week.